At this place in history, we're on State Street in Montpelier with Executive Director of the Vermont Historical Society, Steve Perkins. What brings us here?
So we're standing right in front of the Pavilion office building, which is part of the Capitol Complex. It has a really awesome story. So I've invited Paul Carnahan, who's a member of the Capitol Complex Commission, to join us inside. So we go talk with him?
Let's go.
Well, Amanda, this is a state office building. It looks like a historic hotel from the outside, but it actually houses the office of the governor, the attorney general, and some of our other state officers.
You said it looks like an historic building, but it's not?
It dates from 1971 is when they cut the ribbon on the front porch.
So what used to be here then?
Well, it used to be a hotel. The first hotel on this site was built in 1807. Which was when Montpelier became the state capital. It had a very illustrious career as a very successful hotel, as you might imagine, being right next to the State House. It was known as the third house, the Senate, the House, and then the third house, because so many legislators stayed here. But by the middle of the 20th century, this building became derelict. It was not a successful operation anymore, and it closed in 1966. At about the same time, the state realized that it needed more office space. Government was growing, and there were plans to expand the state complex, the Capitol complex, and one of those plans was to tear down this building and to build a fairly typical office tower.
Now I've read about this. So it wasn't as easy as just knocking it down, right?
Right. It was not easy. In fact, it was a 3 to 4 year protracted fight about what to do with this building. This was in the late 60s, and our awareness of the importance of historic buildings was growing. And we've lost several historic buildings in Montpelier. People said, now wait a minute, this building has been here the entire time that a state capitol has been here. It's an integral part of the built fabric of this community. Let's save it. The legislature got involved because it's a state building. The state bought the building, and then that was the fight. What should the state do about this building? So the state sold it to Pizzagalli, agreeing to buy it back. They hired an architect named Robert Burley, who was very interested in historic preservation. They disassembled this building, saving pieces of it, and then they constructed a steel frame modern office building on this site. They preserved the facade and the side building facing the State House, and made it look just like the original pavilion.
The walls that we see out there, that we see from the street, those were torn down. Completely. A new building was built, and then they pasted, for lack of a better term, this facade back on to this modern building. So a really interesting solution.
Right. This was always envisioned as the home of the Vermont Historical Society, and it was understood that the Historical Society would have exhibits here for visitors, and that the first floor of this building, while the rest of it would be offices, the first floor would be a public space where people could get an appreciation for the history of the building.
Talking historic preservation and old hotels.
At this place in history,